Look, as humans, it is our obligation to be able to provide and cook for ourselves. I don't care what your level of cooking is, okay? It doesn't mean you need to know how to make a 17-course menu. You don't need to know how to like French a lamb rack. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about basic essentials for you to be able to feed yourself. Personally, I think one of the major necessities of being an adult, especially on your own, is knowing how to cook a perfect roast chicken. Nothing is going to beat that feeling of pulling out that golden bird that you just made. There are essentially so many different ways to roast a chicken. You have the French method, an American method, tying it, breaking it down. I want to take all the confusion out for you. We're going to do 3 birds, 3 different ways. The first one is going to be that, oh shit, what are we having for dinner? I don't know, let's run to the store and grab a chicken, bring it home and throw it in the oven. This is really just like your best bet of putting a somewhat perfect bird on the table in a decent amount of time without really any preparation. Number 2, we're gonna talk about the advantages of brining your bird. We're gonna talk about if you actually had some sense and knew what you were going to do the day before, go out, how to buy your bird, purchasing your bird, coming home, how to treat your bird leading up to the cook for the next day. That's basically gonna be the best way for you to roast a chicken at home. And then last but not least, pollo numero 3 is going to be a smoked or grilled chicken. I don't know, maybe it's hot and you don't want to turn your oven on 425 and roast a bird. How do you do it outside? I'm going to show you how to do that too. But before we can cook our bird, we need to buy our bird. Let's head to the store. I'll show you what to look for. Now, when it comes to buying your chicken, there's a few things you should know. My first rule, try and buy local. Go to a butcher shop, they're almost always getting their chickens from a local farm. You might be paying $2, $3 more per pound, but listen, it's worth it. It actually has nutrients. Your chickens weren't pumped with antibiotics and steroids and all of these other things. You will taste the difference, trust me. If you can't find a local butcher shop that has that, or maybe that's a little bit out of your price range, I recommend looking for like Bell & Evans. Look, out of anything you're going to buy or splurge on in the grocery store, it should really be your protein. So Matt, I don't want to buy Bell & Evans chicken. My other rule of thumb is looking for kosher or halal grade chicken. Kosher chicken actually has a certain standard where the chickens need to be treated with respect. They're not allowed to be pumped with all this extra BS. They need to be slaughtered humanely, and they need to be processed humanely. They need to be fully drained of all of their blood before hitting your shelves, therefore yielding in a safer and healthier product. Is it the best of the best? No, there's flaws in every single program, but worst comes to worst, if you're in a pinch, I always tell my clients, look for kosher or halal grade chicken. So I have 2 chicken breasts in front of me. One of these came from a local farm, and the other one is a name brand you see in every single store in America, okay? First, we should get one thing clear. Yes, there are certain types of chickens, but not all chickens are built with double Ds. If you see a huge breast on a chicken or in the grocery store, it's probably not natural. So here we have 2 chicken breasts. To the untrained eye, they might look identical. You see the muscles that are running across here? These are very, very faint. You can almost barely see them, pinkish color, where this one is a paler and brighter color, right? You can also see more white definitive lines running through your chicken. If you see these lines in your chicken, this means your chicken grew too quickly. So they were clearly given some sort of steroid to physically grow faster at an unnormal rate, which is stretching the physical muscle fibers of the chicken. So right off the bat, I can tell you, this chicken was pumped with steroids and was given a pretty shitty diet by the color of its fat, versus this chicken, which has like a more yellow color fat, a little bit less of a height, sure, but the color looks thicker, it's not as opaque, and I don't really see those lines as prominently as I see them here. Does that make sense? Side-by-side comparison, buying a chicken locally, buying a chicken from a mass company through the stores. Know your chicken, know what you're giving your family. It makes a difference. Now, with chicken number 1 and chicken number 2, there are going to be a few things that will stay constant. For example, anytime I'm roasting something in the oven, I like to do this on a tray with a rack. What is a rack? This is known as like a roasting rack. Actually, I think it's a cooling rack, but a lot of people use it for roasting. A roasting rack is like what you would put a turkey in, a little bit different. I digress, not important. The foil is just to protect your pan. This is going to make cleanup way easier later. And then this is going to rest right on top like so. What is the purpose of this rack? This rack is going to keep the bird from sitting in all of its own juices, getting a soggy bottom. Nobody likes a soggy bottom. It's also going to help with airflow. So you'll have hot air being able to actually get under your chicken, heating it from the bottom up. So to moderate our heat evenly, we want the heat to circulate around the bird. I got our bird. I'm just gonna say this once. Don't wash your chicken in the sink. Don't wash your chicken, period. You don't need to wash. What are you rinsing off of this chicken? Huh? What do you think? Seriously, what do you think? Nothing. You're not rinsing anything off. What you're rinsing off is already living in the chicken, and it's going to cook in the oven. So bacteria is going to die in the oven. The only thing you're doing by rinsing your chicken off is now getting chicken juice all over your kitchen. Look, what's on the outside is also on the inside. It's all going to cook in the oven and die. So it's not a big deal. Don't wash your chicken. Pat it dry, like we just did. You want to clear out your cavity. Sometimes there's gizzards, necks, and other things that they leave inside the chicken. You can use these for making stocks and soups. Inside the cavity, I have half a lemon, half an onion, some thyme. You can use any sort of herbs really that you like. I also have a few garlic cloves. We're gonna throw them right in as well. Now I have some butcher's twine. Look, you'll notice on the internet there's so many different ways to tie up a chicken. You could tie the legs and also continue it around the crown to kind of keep everything perfectly set. We don't really need to get too crazy about that. Also, you may not even have string at your house. It's totally fine. You don't have to tie this. I like tying it because it is going to keep everything tight and cohesive, giving me a more even cook. So I want things to kind of cook evenly rather than it just kind of like cooking however it starts to spread. So I'm just going to take a little piece of string and I'm just gonna make like a really cheap knot here. Just kind of like loop it. I'm not really tying it tight. Take the other leg like this, cross them because she's a lady. And then we're just gonna wrap this a few times, maybe once like this, twice like this, just to make sure, you know, that her legs are tied. Now you got these wings, right? If you don't have chicken mittens, you can easily just kind of pull them out to the side like this. Some of you may have a problem with this, but we're actually going to twist and pop the leg, tucking it right under her legs. So her legs, her thighs here are going to keep the wingtips from actually burning. You want a chicken with some attitude, right? It's gonna look like this. Boom, chicken, beautiful. So what I wanna do is I wanna salt the exterior of the chicken. Notice this is really the only seasoning that we've done so far on this chicken. We're just gonna do the breasts. I like to hold my hand close. So as the salt is bouncing off the chicken in my hand, it's bouncing back on the chicken. So this is the oh shit chicken. It's straight out of the fridge. It just has some aromatics stuffed inside, loosely tied, salted on the outside, ready to go in the oven. 425 degrees on that top shelf the entire time. Okay, so bird number 2. Let's say your life isn't a mess and you actually have your shit together and you know what you're going to have for dinner the next day. You went out, you bought your bird, you brought it home. What do you do? Now, when it comes to cooking really any kind of meat, the biggest restaurant trick that I can teach you is brining your food. Brining isn't just a bath we do to turkeys for Thanksgiving. It can be applied to all meat, fish, poultry, whatever. We don't have to get into the science of the molecules permeating the meat and osmosis happening and switching the sodium by carb. We don't have to get into that. I'm gonna lose you. Basically, what you need to take away from this is brining is going to flavor your meat from the inside out. It is going to better permeate your meat, seasoning your meat, and also keeping your meat juicy as the cook is happening. It's a cheat code, really. There are 2 ways of brining. You have wet brining, you have dry brining. Wet brining, I'm sure we're all familiar with. It's when you submerge your meat into some sort of brining solution. This solution has a fair amount of sodium by weight. It's usually like a 2 or 3%. Some peppercorns and aromatics and coriander and fennel seeds and all this yummy fun stuff. The other option for brining is dry brining, which personally, when it comes to doing poultry like this, I prefer it that way. Yesterday, I took it out of its packaging. I patted it dry really nice, and then I covered the outside in salt. By leaving your bird overnight in the fridge, uncovered, you are drying the exterior while also seasoning your bird. When you roast your bird the next day, you are going to have a juicier bird and super crispy skin on the outside. We're actually going to be able to do a perfect comparison side by side. Now, other than the step of dry brining the night before, these birds were done the exact same way. They're both seasoned in salt. They're both sitting on racks. They both have the same aromatics stuffed inside. And would you get this? They are both the exact same weight. Anytime you're going to roast a bird, let's say for a Sunday dinner, buy 2, please. You might as well cook 2 if you're cooking 1. It's the same amount of work. Plus, you now have breast meat for salads. You can throw the thighs and the wings in a stir fry during the week. Now you have food set up for easier meals throughout your weeknight. I mean, that's a cheat code in itself. Not to mention, now you have 2 carcasses. You can make stock. Keep that in your freezer. Nothing goes to waste. One more thing before I forget. This chicken was straight out of the fridge. This chicken, although it had the overnight uncovered in the fridge to kind of dry out a bit, I also took it out of the fridge about an hour or so ago. So it's starting to come to room temp. I'm not cooking this chicken fully from cold, and you're going to notice that that is going to yield a softer texture in our chicken. So both of these chickens, top shelf of my oven, 425. Just remember, every time you open this oven, you're releasing some of the heat, so it's going to take time for it to build back up. Also, while I have 2 chickens cooking in the top shelf at a high temperature, they're gonna start releasing some steam as well. That is going to help cook our chickens faster and maintain their juiciness to prevent them from drying out in the oven. So again, the least amount of times you open this door, the better it's gonna be for your cook. So I give you these notes, these cheat codes, so you don't have to keep opening this door. I know 3.8 pounds of chickens, 2 of them in the top shelf, it's gonna take about an hour and 10, an hour and 15. I'm not opening this door until it hits an hour and 10, and then I can get a temp read on my chickens. Ready? All right, so for pollo número 3, we wanna do a spatchcock chicken. What does a spatchcock chicken mean? Essentially, we're going to make this chicken sit evenly on the grill, both breasts up. This is going to again ensure a more even cook. It's also just like a nice way of presenting the bird. Now, it doesn't so much matter if we're doing indirect heat like we are on a smoker, but if I was doing this over a fire or over coals, having this spatchcock and having this cook from the bones through, the heat is going to go through the bones and into the flesh, really giving it a nice flavor. It's also going to make sure it cooks evenly, okay? So how do you spatchcock a chicken? Well, we have the front of the chicken, she dripping. The front of the chicken, the back of the chicken. On the back side, we have the spine going down this, right? You wanna take like a nice sharp knife or maybe some cooking shears. You wanna go down either side of that tail feather, okay? So that's one side, right? My chicken's now split, but I wanna pull the whole thing out. So now I'm just gonna go down the other side. Really use your muscles, okay? Boom.
Brutality.
So now, if you turn it on your front side, give it a little slight pressure, you now have this cute little chicken with attitude. All of our chicken has attitude, I've been noticing. Crazy, right? I have this all-purpose rub that's essentially just salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cumin, and some cayenne. That's about it. We're gonna put her on our bird and then throw her on the smoker. 375 for about 40 minutes. Since she's spatchcocked like this, going straight on the grill, it's gonna take a little bit quicker than if we were roasting her in the oven. Fun fact, the higher I hold my spice, the more surface area I'm going to cover. If I was right here, I'm really not doing much except this area, versus if I'm up higher, I'm now coating the entire bird. I'm using one hand to kind of like act as a backboard to bounce off of and get this bird evenly coated. I got my smoker set to 375. We're gonna put her down probably for about 30 to 40 minutes. I'm gonna keep an eye on her after that 25, 30 minute mark. Since this is spatchcock, laying flat, going straight on the grill, it's actually gonna take a little bit quicker than if we were roasting her in the oven. Sheesh. So this is our first bird, right? about an hour and 10 minutes or so in the oven until the internal temperature is between 160 and 165. We need the overall temperature to be 165, but with a bird this size, there's gonna be about 5 degrees of carryover cooking. So if you wanted to pull it at 160, it's gonna take it the rest of the way as it rests. This skin looks a little wrinkly. That's okay. It's cooked. It's got a little bit of crispiness, but it's not fully rendered out. It's not super crispy. That's okay. It's still super edible and it's still very delicious. This is bird number 2, our dry brined bird that we had in the oven overnight. This skin, oh wow. Can you hear that? Hold on. Skin is way crispier on this guy than it is on the other one. And yes, that is because we allow the exterior to dry overnight in our fridge. I don't want to dive into it yet. As soon as you make an incision, it's going to run all over your board. So let these guys really absorb all of that juice over the next 10 minutes. Meanwhile, so I'm going to do this upside down so you have a better view here. First thing I'm going to do actually is take off these wings. Honestly, they fall right off apparently. Then I have our thighs. Again, we took out that backbone, so all of this just slides right out. Look how easy that is. You want to kind of come in here, go straight down through the joint to separate the thigh from the drum. We'll do the same to the other side. Beautiful. So our breastbone is kind of in the middle here. We're gonna make an incision while turning our knife to the side like this and coming down and across the rib cage in the back. When this cools, you can kind of come back and just peel back all this meat. Don't leave any of this, right? Then we got 2 breasts here. We'll cut right into them, like this. Breast, wing, thigh, drum. She juicy. Crispy skin. Look at this. Fingers are soaked. Oh my God. It's not dry. First thing you want to do, thigh like that, separate it. There's a joint all the way at the bottom we're looking for, right there. Boom. Make your incision, slightly turn your knife this way. Look at that, like butter. Take these wings off. So we have our bones, right? Our carcasses. Peel back any extra meat that you can have that was left behind. All this is good meat, it's delicious. But these guys and the wings, just because they're fatty, make stock out of this. See all the juices and stuff on the bottom? Dump that in the pot too, keep that, that's flavor, it's delicious. But I mean, like, this is definitely not trash, okay? So in less than an hour and a half, we just did 3 chickens. We have our grilled chicken, which personally, this is my favorite. It really just has the most flavor. It's got great texture on the outside. The skin, the crust is delicious. Sorry about my mess here. And the meat itself, I mean, look, it stays super juicy, right? And it's not dry at all. It's got a ton amount of flavor, especially from that smoke. But then we have our roasted chickens, right? Chicken 1, chicken 2. This was the oh shit chicken, didn't know I wanted to make chicken. What are you doing? And this is the, hey, I'm actually a responsible adult and I prepared for my chicken. This skin was a lot more delicate. It tore very easily as I was slicing into it, versus this skin kept all of its pieces and its shape. Not to mention how golden brown it is and beautiful. In terms of juiciness, they're both super juicy. I mean, I cut this, I don't know, maybe less than 10 minutes ago, and it's still dripping with juice. That's a good sign. Versus this guy, cut around the same amount of time, guess what? Still quite juicy. I mean, look at that. Not mad at it. Again, this method really helps maintain the skin, give you a crispier skin, a more flavorful skin, versus this method is, you know, tried and true, still gets the job done. So like chicken 1, not dry, super juicy. It's got good flavor. It really just tastes like plain chicken. It's not too salty. You're getting some of those aromatics coming in through as well. It's a solid chicken, delicious. I would be happy with this any night of the week. This chicken, on the other hand, as we know, look at that. Beautiful skin, nice and rendered out. But the flavor on this bird, it's crazy how different it is. It's not saltier, but it has more flavor. It's more chickeny. Does that make sense? Look, is this worth it? Yeah, I think so. I think the flavor's a little better. So does he. But like, does this yield a juicier chicken? Not really. But it really comes down to your flavor and your skin. I mean, look how beautiful this is. This is picture perfect. This is magazine ready. This guy, not so much, but your friends and family, they really won't mind. Everybody, in my book, should know how to do this. It's easy, it's delicious, it's impressive. Let me know if you have any questions. Shoot them down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next week.